By the way, you give me a steer on this. I have a short video. It's like 5 minutes, but I think you might like it. It's, do you know the Blue Man Group? I've been doing some work with the Blue Man Group latterly. They're wonderful people. And they asked that same question, essentially. The three founders, you probably haven't seen them without the makeup on, have you? But the three founders of the group, Matt and Chris and Phil, they got together. That's a great example of non-linearity. You know, they got together probably 20 years ago now. And Phil and Chris met because they were both working as dishwashers in the same restaurant. That's how they met. You know, the supervisor, just when Phil turned up, said, go and work with him, he'll show you what to do. That's how 2/3 of the Blue Man Group met. And they were doing street theatre, and they had this idea to paint themselves blue. They can't remember why blue or who had the idea. They said it's very interesting that you would never have seen that as much of a business proposition. You know, that we'll go bold and blue, you know, and take the world by storm. But they've actually now built a global brand. There are Blue Men shows in, I think, 12 cities, and a whole range of creative industries that have come off the back of the Blue Man Group. But they're all married now to 3 great girls, and they have got children. They all work together now, all 6 of them. And they've got children, and they said, well, what are we going to do with our kids? Because none of them, when it came to it, had really felt happy about their own education. And they looked at the schools available in their area of New York and thought, well, we don't like these much either, actually. So they thought, well, we'd better start a school. So they've founded the Blue School, which is a school for little ones at the moment. It's sort of pre-K and kindergarten, but they eventually will develop into a K through 12 school. So they've made this short video. It's about 5 minutes, just describing how they got to create the school. You can see something of the school, but also because they talk about the element and how it's affected their lives. Would you like to see it? Yes. And then, so could we run the video, and then we'll all go and have a drink, I expect. I'll just say a few words before it's finished, but yes, please.
When Blue Man Group first started, we weren't a business, we weren't a company, we weren't a show, we were just a community of friends looking for something interesting to do. All we had was a character and a few principles that we shared, we talked about. We had no idea what we were going to do. We just knew that we were going to explore these ideas using this character. So one of the ideas was that we all could be creative. We needed that idea because we had gone through our educational experience thinking maybe we weren't creative. And then we got together and said, well, maybe that's not true. What if that isn't true?
It was a really important principle to start with, and it's influenced everything throughout our career, really.
Being creative wasn't necessarily confined to if you could mold clay or paint on a canvas or write music, you know, that anything that you did, that in the business setting you could be creative. Anything you bring your own creativity to in any discipline is an act of creativity.
And I think one thing that really led to is that there's no separation. There's a consciousness about the way you approach everything.
Our story is proof that Sir Ken Robinson is right. If ordinary people find their element, extraordinary things can happen. And there's actually a piece in our show that's a little bit of a metaphor for our journey to finding our element. There's one of the Blue Men plays around with making a painting, and he takes to it very quickly. The other Blue Man tries to follow the same path, and that doesn't quite work out for him as well. struggles for a little while, just like we've struggled to find our own element. Some people are lucky and they want to be rocket scientists or cellists, and these are existing media. And for us, we wanted to be postmodern multimedia vaudevillians who create instruments and explore pop culture in a sort of shamanic primal atmosphere. Where does that job exist? Because if we could have found it, we would have signed up for that.
We're always jealous of people who find their calling easily. Things just spin into place for them, kind of like the blue men on the left. We're more like the blue men on the right. We were confused by what life was throwing at us. How would we combine all of our different interests together into one art form? At a certain point, you just need to take the leap. No matter how ugly it is or how unlikely it may seem, you've got to try to follow your creative instincts and not worry about what it looks like or how much money it's worth.
One thing that drew us together initially, even before there was a Blue Man, is that we were in our own ways disappointed with our educational experience. And that's one reason why we wanted to start a school. We wanted to create the kind of school that we would have loved to have gone to.
We wanted to make a school that either we wished we had gone to or that we fantasized would be the school for our children. And that's a school that had, as Sir Ken Robinson talks so much about, emphasizes creativity as much as any other subject, teaches kids a special way to treat one another, a social-emotional learning, is a place where you don't lose your childlike exuberance, where you have such a zest for learning, a love of life all the way through, not having it educated out of you.
On a kind of metaphorical level, the traditional model of education is that children are freight cars and the school is a grain silo and it's just going to fill each kid up and then move them down the track. And we're interested in creating a launch pad where kids are the rockets and we're just there trying to find the fuse.
We knew we wanted to create a school that a big part of it was actually teaching kids how they think, teaching them a level of self-awareness that we felt was missing from our educational experience.
I think it involves having the entire brain just really alive and exhilarated and tingling with life force. And that needs to be part of our educational model. I mean, that seems like a crazy revolutionary idea, but it really actually seems to us that it makes sense. It makes actual academic sense.
You know, it seems like when we're all kids, at one time, like, everybody paints, but somehow we throw away that kind of inspiration in the moment and we get rid of a bunch of other things too.
We tend to think that the part of ourselves that feels different should be hidden. I mean, covered up. And I think what the Blue Man message is that, you know, do not hide that, because that part of you is the key to, you know, one's individuality, but also like letting it out lets all this creativity out. You know, having the courage to expose that part of yourself. When we drum on the paint, the vibrant color is a way of expressing the vibrance that happens when you let your outsider come out.
Isn't that great? It's a great little movie, isn't it? I just thought I jotted it down. I thought it was great. Chris said this about what they wanted to be. He said, we wanted to be postmodern, multimedia vaudevillians who create instruments and explore pop culture in a shamanic, primal atmosphere. He said, where's that job? The thing is, of course, a lot of the jobs our kids will be doing haven't been invented yet. Nobody's thought of them yet, you know, but they will if we allow them to do it. And I came across a great quote, it's just from thinking what you were just saying there. Two, really, I thought I'd leave you with. One was from Henry David Thoreau, who said, that we should all aim to dwell as near as possible to the channel in which your life flows. And a lot of this is finding other people who are taking the same journey, connecting with people who feel as you do. But this thing about fear was addressed by Teilhard de Chardin, who said, instead of standing on the shore and convincing ourselves that the ocean cannot carry us, let us venture onto its waters just to see. And there's a lot to see. Thank you very much. Thank you.